The screams begin at dusk. They are not the familiar cries of a lone hunter taken by a wandering Allosaurus, the sound of sudden, brutal finality. These are different. They are sharp staccato and carry on the wind with a terrifying cadence, the sound of a methodical slaughter. From the mouth of the great cave, the stone-flanked land watchers as two of their best trackers, caught returning from the river, are systematic execution. The attackers are new to this valley. They are larger than any dromaeosaur ocean the clan has ever seen, feathered in mottled greys and blacks that bleed into the twilight stone. Their movements display a chilling synchronicity, a clear example of advanced pack hunting behavior that feels less like instinct and more like strategy. One Utahraptor fights left, drawing the spear of the cornered man, while two others burst from the ferns on his right, their sickle claws, huge and obsidian shot, flashing in the dying light. Panic ignites in the cave. The elders shout orders, their voices cracking. Hunters grab spears and axes, their knuckles white. The clans osteoed on Utahraptor technology, tools of bone, tooth and horn honed over generations to bring down Triceratops, feels pitifully inadequate. They are tools for hunting beasts, not for fighting soldiers. A small group of warriors rushes out to aid their kinsmen, a brave but foolish gesture. The raptors react instantly. Two of the pack break off from the kill, moving with a fluid, horizontal speed that seems to defy nature. They do not engage directly. They simply flow around the rescue party. They cause a series of sharp, clicking barks, and suddenly the humans are flanked, herded back towards the cave like prey. The message is brutally clear. This threshold is now a border, and they are on the wrong side of it. They stumble back inside, dragging the heavy log and thorn barricade across the entrance as the last light of the sun vanishes. The wounded are pulled deeper into the warmth of the fire. Their moans a low counterpoint to the whimpers of frightened children. The siege has begun. All night they listen. The raptors do not leave. They patrol the clearing before the cave. Their heavy, three-toed steps are constant, abrasive rhythm on the rock. Occasionally, a feathered head, reptilian and unlingual intelligent, rises above the barricade, its yellow eyes reflecting the firelight. It observes them. It studies their defenses, its head cocked as if committing their numbers and their weapons to memory. This is the deepest terror of this new chapter in hominid history. Their enemy is not a mindless engine of hunger, but a thinking, patient predator. The clan is trapped, cut off from the river, their food stores limited. The world, once a vast and dangerous home, has shrunk to the flickering light of a single fire in a cage of stone. The war for survival has begun, not against the blind fury of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but against a cold, calculating intelligence that mirrors their own. The days bleed together, marked only by the sun's slow crawl across the sliver of sky visible past the barricade. Hunger is a constant, gnawing ache in the belly. The water skins are nearly empty, the leather hides sagging and dry. The clan's initial adrenaline-fueled fury has curdled into a brittle, silent dread. The Utahraptors are patient. They are intelligent. They are intelligent. They test the defenses not with brute force, but with calculated probes. A single raptor slams its weight against the logs, drawing the unified response of human spears jabbing out through the gaps. As the defenders are occupied, another darts in from a blind spot, its sickle claw, a blade of polished horn, flashing in a terrifyingly precise arc, searching for an exposed arm or leg. These are not simple beasts, they are tacticians. They are learning. An old woman, Mara, watches. She is not a hunter but a toolmaker, her hands gnarled from a lifetime of chipping flint spearheads. While the hunters see only monstrous feathered death, Mara sees patterns. She sits near the barricade, a silent sentinel, her gaze fixed not on the individual animals, but on the spaces between them. She is engaged in a primal, desperate form of cognitive mapping, tracing their patrol routes in the dust, noting the subtle shifts in posture and the vocabulary of clicks and hisses that direct the pack. This is a critical leap in human evolution, the transition from pure reaction to analytical foresight. She sees the rigid hierarchy, the way the pack flows around the alpha, a huge, battle-scarred male with a milky white scar across one eye. A child's wail, thin and weak from dehydration, cuts through the cave's stay layer. The sound instantly draws the attention of the raptors. Two of them approach the barricade, their heads low, their calls changing to a soft, almost crooning sound that is more unnerving than any shriek. They are actively trying to lure the desperate humans out. The psychological pressure is immense. A young hunter, Kale, his face hollowed by starvation, argues they must charge to meet their end fighting in the sun rather than withering in this tomb. The elders counsel patience, a word that now tastes like dust. But Mara speaks, her voice a dry rasp that cuts through the despair. They hunt as one body, she says, her gaze locked on the alpha. Their strength is the alpha's mind. Break the head, and the body will thrash in confusion. Her idea, born from days of silent observation, is terrifying in its audacity. They will not fight the pack. They will break it. The plan forms in urgent whispers around the dying fire. It is a strategy built on three pillars: sound, fire, and sacrifice. They will use the raptor's own intelligence, their rigid reliance on the alpha's commands against them. Kale, the clan's strongest thrower, listens, his initial rage giving way to a cold, focused understanding. Mara's insight has given their desperation a direction, a sliver of hope in this suffocating darkness. The choice is made. They will risk everything on this one mad gamble, a strategy that will either save them or ensure their total annihilation. This is what it means to be human in this ancient world, to stare into the intelligent eyes of a predator and not just see death, but an equation to be solved. The air in the cave is thick with the scent of fear and burning pitch. The plan is in motion. Two of the clan's fastest runners, a young man and woman named Lin and Jaro, slip out through a narrow fissure at the back of the cave system, a passage too small for a Utahraptor but treacherous for a human. Their task is one of near certain death, a diversion. They carry torches and dried gourds filled with rattling stones, their movements a frantic prayer against the rustle of leaves or the crack of a twig. Meanwhile, inside the main cavern, Kate and the other hunters prepare. They have spent the last of their energy sharpening every available piece of bone and flint, crafting what can only be described as a primitive form of javelin. Their target is singular, the scarred alpha. The signal comes not as a shout, but as a sudden panicked shrieking from the forest to the west. Lin and Jaro have been spotted. A portion of the raptor pack, perhaps 4 or 5 individuals, instantly peels away from the siege, their barks sharp and excited as they give chase. This is the first critical juncture. Mara's theory is being tested in real time. Does the pack split its focus, or does its strategic depth allow for a simultaneous, coordinated hunt? The alpha remains its scarred eye fixed on the cave, but the chaotic sounds of the chase, the human screams and the raptor calls, grow more distant. The alpha turns, lets out a guttural command, and lopes after its pack, leaving only 3 guards at the cave mouth. Now, Mara hisses. The barricade is heaved aside. Kal and 5 others burst out into the pre-dawn gloom, not with the wild yells of a charge, but with the focused silence of an execution squad. The 3 remaining raptors are startled, their pack mind momentarily shattered by the alpha's departure. One lunges, its sickle claws scything through the air, but a hunter rams the butt of his spear into its chest, staggering it. They ignore it. Their focus is absolute. They create a corridor of bodies, a channel aimed at the returning alpha. The sounds from the forest abruptly change. The human screams have stopped. A victorious cry echoes from the raptor pack. The alpha is returning, its hunger sated. It emerges from the tree line, its snout stained dark with blood. It sees the chaos before the cave and lets out a roar of fury, a sound that shakes the very stones. But it is too late. As it charges, Kale lets out a great cry, a sound of pure, concentrated human defiance forged millions of years ago. On his signal, the other hunters slam their spears but first into the ground, creating wall of sharpened bone and flint. They have practiced this for days in the back of the cave. The alpha, moving at a speed built for running down prey in open spaces, cannot stop. It sees the trap a second before impact, but its momentum is too great. It impales itself on the bristling hedge of spears, its own speed becoming the agent of its demise. its death is not silent. It is a volcanic eruption of pain and rage. It screams, tearing the morning air. The other raptors freeze, their pack mind severed from its source. They stare at the thrashing, dying form of their leader, their tactical cohesion dissolving into primal confusion. They are no longer a unit. They are just beasts, and for the first time in a week they look afraid. The victory is not clean. The hunter who staggered the rat to guard is dead, his chest cavity torn open. Lin and Jaro do not return, their sacrifice brought the clan its chance. The remaining raptors, leaderless and disorganized, eventually scatter back into the jungle, their siege broken not by force of arms, but by an act of tactical genius born of sheer desperation. The Stone Fang clan stands in the morning light, gaunt and grieving, surrounded by the silence of their dead and the corpse of a fallen god. They have not won a war, they have merely survived a battle, paying a blood price for a fragile new equilibrium. They look at the dead alpha, at the wicked intelligence, now extinguished in its eye, and understand a profound truth about their place in this prehistoric world. They are not the strongest, nor the fastest, they are the ones who can look into the face of a monster, understand the way it thinks, and turn its own mind into a weapon against it. Their survival is a testament to the most audacious gamble of the ancient humans. The bet that cunning could, just maybe, overcome claws. This is the genesis of our ascent, not in a blaze of glory, but in the quiet, bloody calculus of a desperate plan. This is how human ancestors refused their place at the bottom of the food chain. Survival is the first and oldest story. Listen closely. And in the deepest jungle, a new sound begins to echo, a rhythmic, resonant boom, and like any thunder,